Under Bidenomics, inflation is falling and the economy is growing from the middle out and bottom up. I am your Huckleberry. It is a bullshit. So the Biden administration is telling you not to believe your lying eyes and ears, that the economy is great. So before we start a timer, the claim that was made is, and this was on Twitter, and I guess they also post it to their main website. So White House, they tried to gaslight you with this, of course, Bidenomics tweet. So they said, this week we learned monthly inflation in October was 0, and the economy grew by more than 5% last quarter. Under Bidenomics, inflation is falling and the economy is growing from the middle out and bottom up.
What?
Very directional.
Yeah. It is.
Middle out, bottom up. Okay.
Usually you want bottom to go up anyway.
You would think so. Yeah. Power bottom up.
Oh, no.
So that's their claim. Let's just wrap it. I don't want to do a whole segment on this. You know what, Toolman, start your timer. All the references are available at loudearthcreditor.com. Okay, here's the truth. Inflation is still way up, okay? Biden's performance in October, I believe, of 2023, it's 3.2% year over year.
Oh, wow.
The total Biden inflation is 17.1%. Total Trump for a comparable time range, 7.6%. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, it's not working for the average American. Right in Q3, GDP was fueled by an increasing amount of consumer spending. Credit card balances, right? They're up $154 billion year over year. That's the most since 1999.
Just crossed the $1 trillion threshold. So
we just crossed the $1 trillion threshold. This is another ploy by Big Amex. And real incomes are down by 2.3%. That's the biggest drop since 2010. And since former Vice President Joe Biden took office, families are spending on average $15,133 more annually on the same goods. You can hit that timer, Tim. 54 seconds.
Boom.
I am your Huckleberry. It is a bullshit.
I love how right at Thanksgiving they're like bragging about gas prices being lower and turkey prices being lower. And then as soon as Thanksgiving weekend was over, gas went up like 25, 30 cents.
I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, they don't want to talk about it now.
Or in California, $3.
It's over $6, yeah.
Yeah. So, anything else that I missed?
You really have to do mental gymnastics to make this economy work for anybody else. And I love how they're pandering to the middle class. The middle out, we're expanding the middle class. And those who are really poor, no, you're just giving free money away.
Yeah.
It's going to come due.
Yes.
Do you see the interest rates right now on credit cards? They move. There's a lot of money people are having to pay right now just to survive. But that's great economy.
I want to float an idea here, okay, before we get into Fetterman. All right. I was just thinking about this because I was listening to some guy from Harvard. He was talking about, these health studies, and most of what he said was correct. But he said, I don't want to infringe on people's personal liberty, but maybe we could encourage behavior by, for example, taxing sugar more and unhealthy food. And this is what the left believes in doing, right? We always talk, for example, big gulps, or it could be cigarettes, any of the above. Hey, what if, and this is I don't know if someone has really done this, but I mean, as an actual matter of policy, what if instead of this mental baseline budgeting that we do, we started with the exact opposite approach and we said, hey, hold on a second. We have trillions of dollars, right? We're unbelievably indebted to other nations who want to do us harm, right? You look at the deficit, you look at the national debt. Okay, let's start with, we already generate enough revenue and taxes. The government is inefficient in spending. How about instead of punishing behavior or punishing oil companies, punishing sugar. And by the way, you probably shouldn't be eating a bunch of sugar. I understand all these things. What if we encouraged and incentivized good behavior? What if we just started with the mentality of, hey, if you do blood work, if you show that you have a healthy BMI, you actually will get a tax break. Or how about, hey, you pay less into, example, Medicare and Medicaid. What if we do it a little more extremely than that? Before we get to fair tax, right, the idea that you have no income tax at all, but it's just a sales tax. What if we incentivized everything is a write-off. Everything. You go to the grocery store, boom, that's a write-off. You've now reduced your taxes. You buy your kids toys for Christmas, that's a write-off. You go to the movies, that's a write-off. You invest, that's a write-off. Everything you do would be a write-off, which would encourage you to pay those taxes through an actual exchange of goods and services rather than any kind of income tax. I'm saying this as bridging the gap before we get to a fair tax, before we get to a flat tax. You still have income tax, but every dollar you spend to keep this economy going can be reduced from your annual income as a write-off for your taxes. I don't know. Is that a crazy idea? Is it just me? Why do we always think that we need to generate more taxes through punishing behavior? We already pay enough in taxes. Let's incentivize good behavior by reducing that load. And by the way, you'll make it back anyway because these people will put it into the economy. Just a thought. I don't know.
I think it could work, but look, I think your point is valid because taxing, if you could tax people out of behavior, then cigarettes wouldn't be a thing.
Right.
They've been doing that for years. They've been trying to penalize people. So incentivizing people, especially healthy people, would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd be able to pay less in taxes.
Also incentivizing financially healthy people.
Yes, well, that's true.
Incentivizing people to, do things that are good for them rather than punishing people for doing things that are bad to them. Hey, how about EBT? When we talk about food stamps. How about why can't we agree on this? You can't buy Funyuns. You can only buy milk, eggs, produce, meat. In other words, it is not, wouldn't be capable of using it for processed foods. And I thought about this. This is why you guys get so bothered. For example, when people talk about panhandling, there's this corner here where people are always panhandling, right? Right on this corner. Usually able-bodied, military-age males. The other day, there were a bunch of people in crossing guard outfits, and it was obviously an organization. There was a kid who had a traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
And they were raising money for a surgery to be performed. And unfortunately, I didn't carry cash, and they don't have Square. But
still,
hopefully St. Jude steps in. I mean, it's 2020. I don't walk
will.
around with cash. But my point is this. I was moved, and I know that you people are moved. When you see someone who's down on their luck, someone who gets some tough breaks, we all want to help them. And I think we all mentally know we do this mathematical equation where we say, hold on a second. If someone is suckling at the government teat for 15 to 20 years who doesn't really need it, it's a finite resource. And that kid in a poor family with a traumatic brain injury doesn't get the kind of help that he needs. This idea that we can just give money out to everybody who asks for it and there are no consequences for those who actually need help, that's what social safety nets were created for. If you look at villages, we helped the actual most vulnerable among us. Yeah. Women who were pregnant or kids who were sick. We didn't help men who were non-contributing zeros. At a certain point, if you can't get back on your own 2 feet, you get nothing. That's why people get pissed. You don't need to feel guilty about it. Hey, are you moved when you see a homeless mom and child? Are you moved when you see a sick kid and you see the St. Jude's Hospital? Are you moved when you see the Sarah McLachlan Wakes Up an Angel commercial?
I'm angry, not
and
moved.
Give some money and find yourself getting frustrated when you see a young man panhandling who you know would be capable of working a job. Guess what? Don't feel guilty. It's natural. It's what everyone has done since the beginning of time. We've screwed it up. Okay.
Less Funyuns, more onions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I say.
Bad breath for everyone.
Yes. There are health properties of onions and garlic.
There is, yeah.
That's why Dracula died young.
Yeah.
For him. And for him, young is like 462.
Yeah.
The life expectancy for the average vampire, we all know, is 554.
Really?
We know.
Yeah.
Is that up or down during Biden's administration?
Way down.
Well, it's down, but their debt is up.
Oh, good.
Yeah, exactly.
All those caskets.
They're not all counts from Sesame Street. This is a 2% interest rate. Enjoy your alimony count.
Watch Louder with Crowder live Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.